welcome to the Deputy Leader Elections 2025. Please welcome Nan Sloan, our Hustings Chair, and the candidates Bridget Phillipson and Lucy Powell.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. It's lovely to see so many people here, and I hope we're all going to enjoy the next hour. My name is Nan Sloan. I am a Labour historian, but also a committee member of Labour Women's Network and lead on their training scheme. And in previous lives, I have been a councillor, a party organiser, a regional director, and held lots of other offices in the party. So it's a great pleasure to be moderating this hustings with two fantastic women candidates aiming to be Labour's next deputy leader. I'm going to run through how we're going to conduct the next hour. As you know, members were invited to submit questions, and questions have come in. And I've selected them so that we have a balance of questions about a variety of topics around areas of interest that we all have. There are some questions that have been submitted but members are not present, and I will ask those questions on their behalf. Candidates will have 1 minute to answer each question, and I will prompt when there are 20 seconds remaining if that is necessary. And if there is a supplementary question that I think should be asked, then I will ask it. And candidates will then have 30 seconds to answer any supplementaries. We're going to try and get through as many questions as we can in the time that we have to have available, because we have to finish on time. We will be ending with a 2-minute closing remarks from each of the candidates. There are a few other rules that we need to think about. In order to help us to get through as much as possible, we are asking people not to applaud during candidates or at the end of candidates' questions. Cumulatively, applause could knock out a whole question. So just bear that in mind. Candidates have drawn lots about who goes first, and Lucy will be starting us off with the first question, which we will move to.
Great.
So, Kashvi, where is Kashvi? No. Great, lovely. Can people say who they are and where they're from when they ask their questions?
Hi, my name is Kashvi. I'm from Tipton and Wednesbury CLP. And my question is, why did you go into politics?
Good question, thanks for that. Well, look, I grew up in Manchester in the Thatcher era. It was a very political time, and I saw firsthand what Thatcher's policies did to a city like mine of Manchester and what it did to the life chances of my friends and family in Manchester. And that's why I joined the Labour Party when I was 15. I remember writing that cheque. It was £5 then. It's a lot cheaper now when you're 15. It was £5, and I had a NatWest bank account, and I joined the Labour Party because I really believed that politics and political decisions would change people's lives for the better, and that there was a better way for the country to be run, for a city like mine of Manchester, and for people that I went to school with. I saw, we were sharing textbooks in school. We had very little. So what motivated me then still motivates me today, and is why I'm standing to be deputy leader, because I think politics can change people's lives for the better, and I want us all to feel that again.
Thank you very much. Bridget.
Brilliant. Thanks very much, Kashfi, for your question. I grew up in the North East in a single parent family, and it was a time when the Tories were in power in the 80s and the 90s. We didn't have very much. Because my mum brought me up on her own, it was hard at times, and I felt very deeply that sense of the lack of power that we had in our community, and I wanted to change that as I grew up. And that's what drives me today. That's why I'm determined to tackle child poverty, because it breaks my heart to see so many kids across our country being held back because of their background. What I also felt, though, it was a time, of course, when the Tories were talking about single-parent families like mine in a really awful, awful way, a judgment about my family. And there was just as much love in my family as in anybody else's. And I wanted to change our country, change my community. That's what motivated me then, it's what drives me now, and it's why I'm so proud of the action that I've been able to lead across government on tackling child poverty, like delivering 500,000 children will be getting free school meals next year. That will make a huge difference.
Thank you. Okay, second question is from Emma.
Hi, my name's Emma Garside from Cities of London and Westminster, CLP. My question is, how would you ensure a Labour victory in next May's local elections?
Bridget.
Brilliant. Thanks for that question. We have got a really important set of elections coming up right across our country and, of course, in Wales and Scotland as well. I'll be your campaigner-in-chief, out on the doors with all of you, making the case for Labour. Look, we've got to be honest about where we've got things wrong and where we've made mistakes. But I'll be with you every step of the way. I've met so many of you in the run-up to the general election and beyond, hundreds of visits and campaigning events that I've done with you. But also what I've sought to do as Education Secretary is make sure you've got things to put on your leaflets to demonstrate the change that Labour is bringing in our communities. The new free breakfast club, the new school-based nursery, the free school meals that we're delivering, the things that I know you feel proud of, but where you want to feel really proud to be out in the doors making the case for Labour. We've got to do more of that, but what I will make sure I'll do as your deputy leader is to bring the members' voice, that campaigning voice, right into government, the heart and soul of Labour at the cabinet table, getting things done.
Thank you.
Thanks. Yeah, well, we have got big elections next year. We've got thousands of elected representatives facing the ballot box next May in Scotland, Wales, London, and right across the country. And what I'm really clear about is that we've got to reunite our whole voter coalition. We've got to reunite the country, because this is not just about out-reforming reform. In many of the elections that we've got next May, we are losing just as many votes, if not more, to the other side. So being tactical about it and trying to out-reform reform is not going to help us in those elections next May. And that's what I've been saying this week. We've got to seize back the political megaphone in this country, because let's be honest, we've ceded it for too long in recent months. We've got to set the agenda about what we're doing, why we're doing it, who we're standing up for, and I'm going to be working right across the country to make sure that we win in those elections next year.
Lovely, thank you. The next question is from Stephen. Do we have Stephen? In that case, I will ask it on Stephen's behalf. So this is from Stephen Sandford from Blackpool South. What is your proudest career achievement to date?
Blimey, that's quite a hard question. Well, look, I think my proudest moment was actually the moment when I got to stand in front of the King when he was delivering that first Labour King speech in 15 years. A King speech which I helped to shape, I helped to write those words and decide what bills were going in that King speech. I stood there beaming because I was so proud of all those Labour promises that we were announcing, that we were going to be enacting as new laws. The Employment Rights Bill, Hillsborough Law that we've celebrated this week, Martin's Law, the Renters' Rights Bill, bringing back our railways into public ownership and our buses into public ownership and ending water bosses bonuses. I beamed from top to bottom that day because I think that was one of my proudest achievements. I think it's one of our collective proudest achievements as a party as well.
Thank you.
Thanks very much. That's a great question. Because of everything that you, our brilliant members, did in our movement, we secured that Labour government last July. And because of that, my proudest achievement is that we've been able to bring back Sure Start for a new generation of children. One of the best things Labour did in government last time around. And we're rolling out Best Start family hubs in every community across our country. That will make an enormous difference to children and to families. And it goes right to the heart of our historic purpose as a party, which is to make sure that where you're from doesn't determine what you can go on to achieve. And, you know, we saw the Tories over those 14 years we were in opposition, stripping away support, closing Sure Start centres, making life harder for working families. And I'm so proud we're building on that amazing legacy. Thanks to all of our members, you worked alongside us, you got out on those doors, you got our case across. That will make a real difference to families right across our community. And I'm seeking a mandate from you to do even more, to deliver even more for families.
Thank you. The next question is from Dave.
Hi, Dave Costa, Cardiff South and Penarth. In your role as Deputy Leader, how would you help Labour to win next year's Senate elections?
Yeah, absolutely essential. You know, we need to make sure that we have a Labour government in Wales working alongside a Labour government in Westminster delivering for working people. And I've been really proud to be able to draw on some of the amazing successes that you've had in Wales. For example, free breakfast clubs, something Welsh Labour delivered, something we now in Westminster are able to deliver across England. And I've got a strong track record of campaigning with you all, working alongside you, and I'll be with you every step of the way out on the doors, making that case. I mean, right from opposition, when I was Shadow Chief Secretary to the Treasury, we talked a lot about coal tip remediation and about the importance of the UK government taking a role in communities like yours and in places like the North East where we have a shared industrial heritage. But through a Labour government, through a budget that we delivered because of our Labour government in Westminster, now there's £200 million going towards that. So I've got a track record of working with you. You've got a big fight on your hands. I'll be with you every step of the way. Got to take the fight to reform as well as to the false promises that Plaid offer.
Thank you.
Thanks. Well, we have got difficult elections in Wales next year. In fact, we've got a by-election, a Senedd by-election coming up later this month as well. And I think look, what we're seeing in Wales is a real example of what we're seeing elsewhere, which is the fracturing of our voter coalition, the fracturing of the electorate. Yes, we're losing some support to reform, but we're actually losing much more support to Plaid Cymru in Wales at the moment. And that's why we need to reunite our voter coalition with that really strong, compelling story about what we think is really wrong with this country and how we're going to fix it. And look, we've got to accept, haven't we, that we can do better. We've got to do better, because when we bring in policies that don't show whose side we are on, and people aren't really clear about whose side we are on, like the winter fuel payment, for example, that hits us particularly hard in our traditional Labour areas, of which there are many across Wales. So we've changed the policy on the winter fuel, but I don't think people know about that. So we need to be out there telling people what we are doing, but we've got to get the politics of this right so that we're not losing votes to all sides. I don't write off those elections next year, absolutely not. I think we're in the fight of our lives. We can turn this around, and I will work night and day with Eleanor and with Welsh Labour to support her and the team to make sure that we do better in those elections than we're currently on track to do.
Thank you. The next question is from Isla.
Isla McKay, Skylock Abbott and Badenoch CLP. As Deputy Leader, what difference will you make in the Scottish parliamentary elections next year to ensure Anas Sarwar is elected as First Minister of Scotland?
Lucy.
Well, I really want Anas Sarwar to be the First Minister of Scotland. What a fantastic thing that would be, because he's a great leader of Scottish Labour up in Scotland. And I was there recently going around campaigning in various parts of Scotland. And we've got to do our best to support Scottish Labour. They've got a great brand. They've shown that they can win in Scotland. They won a very difficult by-election recently when everyone wrote Scottish Labour off. So we've got to make sure that what we're doing here as UK Labour supports the efforts of Scottish Scottish Labour and doesn't make that more difficult. And that's why we get back to this same point again about making sure that we're considering our whole voter coalition. We're not tactical, doing one thing one day, facing one way the other. We've got to have a clear political strategy that unites our voter coalition, and we can work together on that in Scotland.
Thank you.
Thanks. I've campaigned alongside you for years in Scotland. I'll be with you in that fight, because what a difference we could make to have a Labour government in Scotland led by Anas working alongside a Labour government in Westminster. And I'm so proud to have the support of my counterpart in Scotland, Pam Duncan-Glancy. We work really closely all of the time on the issues that matter to me and to her, like exposing the SNP for who they are, the huge attainment gap, the fact that working class kids in Scotland don't have the life chances that they deserve. But I also think there's a real opportunity to demonstrate what's possible with a Labour government. So the childcare offer that we're rolling out, not available in Scotland because of choices of the Scottish Nationalist Party. Alongside that, the free breakfast clubs we're delivering, that shows what Labour in power can do. So I think we've got to work together on that. We've got to expose the false promises of the SNP, but I'll be with you every step of the way, making that case, exposing them for who they are, but also demonstrating the positive change that a Labour government can and will bring.
Thank you. Angela.
Hello. Hi, Lucy. Hi, Bridget. Hi, Nan. My name's Angela Morey. I'm from Thornbury and Yates CLP. I'd like to hear about how you feel we can challenge reform.
I'm on the front line of this. I mean, we're all on the front line. We've got the fight of our lives in taking on reform. Now, we can't ape them. We have to take them on in a way that is consistent with our values, Labour values, that are also the values of the British people. We're an outward, compassionate country where our diversity is our strength. And, you know, I wouldn't be sat here today talking to you were it not for the contribution that my grandparents made when they came to this country, worked in our NHS, and that's our national story. We should be proud of that and proud of who we are. But it's a question alongside that of how we really demonstrate to people that change is happening in their lives. We've got to go further, we've got to do more. But it's about the cost of living. It's about the fact that working families need to feel better off and see in their lives and in their communities the difference a Labour government is making. So we'll have to be bolder, we'll have to do more, but I am up for that fight. It's a fight we can win, it's a fight we will win, and as your deputy leader, I'll unite our party, take the fight to reform, because divided parties don't win elections, and if we're fighting amongst ourselves, we can't be fighting reform.
Lucy?
Yeah, well, as I've been saying this week, look, we've ceded the political megaphone in this country to reform for too long. We've let them set the terms of the debate. And it's about time, and I thought the Prime Minister did a great job of this yesterday, we began to wrestle back the political megaphone in this country and set the terms of the debate ourselves. Because we have a fundamentally different view about what is wrong with this country to reform. He thinks that if we just got rid of all immigrants in this country, everybody's problems would go away. I fundamentally disagree with that analysis. We have a different diagnosis, which says this is a country that just doesn't work for ordinary working people, and we need to fundamentally rewire the way the economy works, the way the country works. And we've done fantastic things to try and do that over the last year or so, but people haven't heard about them because we're not setting the agenda well enough, and our mistakes have overshadowed that. So I'm going to, full-time, as a campaigner-in-chief, I'm going to be wrestling back that political megaphone. I'm going to set the terms of the debate. And do you know what? One of the things that members and everybody else say to me as well is, what are we doing? Not just going on about reform all the time.
The next question is from Tanya.
Hello, I'm Tanya Blake. I'm from Liverpool Garston CLP, and my question is, how do we most effectively campaign against the Greens and Lib Dems?
Lucy.
Well, I know many of you are facing the challenge of the Greens and the Liberal Democrats in your area. I know that, I understand it. My seat, Manchester Central, it's kind of a half red wall, it's half urban. So I know what it's like to face the challenge to reform, or the Greens or the Liberal Democrats. And we've got to have an authentic conversation with ourselves about what we are saying to the country and how we're going to campaign. And that has got to be sticking true to our values, rebuilding that progressive alliance, setting that bold vision of the future, and making sure that people understand whose side we are on and in whose interests we are governing, because that's how we will motivate and mobilise those who are currently thinking of going Lib Dem or Green. And we've got to get the capacity in the party right to do that as well.
We've got to tell a hopeful and optimistic story about our country's...
Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh.
Can I... Yeah, great. We've got to tell a hopeful and optimistic story about our country's future, that our best days are ahead of us, and we've got to demonstrate the change that a Labour government is bringing. I think alongside that, what we also have to do is expose the Greens in particular for who they are. So they say on the one hand that climate change is the biggest challenge we face, and climate change is an enormous challenge, but a real opportunity to create some brilliant jobs. But then what do? They oppose infrastructure projects, they oppose the investment that will make a huge difference to our communities and to tackling climate change. So we've got to be as ruthless in taking the fight to them as we are in taking the fight to reform, because we are the party that is on the side of working people, delivering for them. And I think, to give one example, at conference, I've been able to announce that we're introducing new targeted maintenance grants for college and university students, the kinds of voters we need to reach as part of that coalition we'll build to deliver a second-term Labour government.
Thank you. The next question is from Izzy Lenger from Hampstead and Highgate, and Izzy is not able to be with us. So the question is, how will you work with our trade unions to strengthen our vital relationship with them?
I mean, this is the work I do day in, day out, and I've got a really strong story to tell of the work we've done together as a movement in government, whether that's through the work I've been leading around giving our school support staff an important seat at the table, bringing back the school support staff negotiating body. I'm also clear that we have to deliver the Employment Rights Bill in full, no ifs, no buts, and that's why I'm so pleased and proud to have the support of our big affiliated trade unions representing the vast majority of trade unionists in our country. And that's because I've got a track record of delivering, working with you, bringing our members and our movement to the cabinet table to get things done. But it's also because, our party was founded to advance the interests of working people, founded by our trade unions, to make sure we have political representation for working people in Parliament. I'm proud of that. We've achieved a lot together. There's a lot more that we'll do in the months and years to come, and that's what you'll get from me as your Deputy Leader, a voice for our members and our movement at the cabinet table, making things happen.
Thank you.
Well, look, I think a key part of this job is to be that full-time voice of our movement at the top of our party, a directly elected deputy leader representing the party, because we've got to get a much better feedback loop, a much stronger bridge between the broad views of our movement and our representatives, because that's when we make better decisions and that's when we develop better policies. And let's be honest, that has not been as good as it could have been in recent months. And that's why I really look forward to doing that with our affiliates who are connected to our workplaces, connected to our communities. And that's when we are at our best, when we are connected and we've got that listening feedback loop. And look what we did together when we came together as a movement and we developed the Make Work Pay platform. Part of that is being implemented now. So proud to do that within 100 days with Angela Rayner last year. But we've got more to do. We've got the next phase of Make Work Pay to implement, and I will be that champion for those policies, for those issues at the top of the party.
Thank you. Okay, the next question is from Seb.
Hello, I'm Seb Lovell-Huckle from Birmingham Northfield. I would like to know, how would you work with affiliates such as socialist societies?
Well, I'm really proud to have so much support from the socialist societies, to have support from those who are representing our teachers, who are representing our health workers, who are representing our aid workers and those on the front line of international development. Because our socialist societies have real experiences, they've got huge talent, they've got great experience, and we've got to bring that into the conversation and use them better than we have been using them to date, because that's when we'll have better policies, that's when we'll be more connected. And I want to be that bridge with our socialist societies full-time, sitting, yes, outside of Cabinet, because this is a party role, this is not a government role that we're doing here. And I will do that full-time, getting everyone around the table enthused, mobilised, engaged, listened to and respected. Bridget.
Our socialist society's got an enormous amount to offer in terms of expertise, a real reach into our country and right across our movement. And I'll work with all of you to make that change happen. Together with our members, with our trade unions, all of us pulling together to unite, to take the fight to reform and to be on the front foot in our campaigning. I also think that when you look at the work that Angela Rayner did, it was incredibly effective because she was able to be that voice right across our movement, across our socialist societies and our party. And she did combine that with a big job in government and really got things done, made members' voices heard, our trade union voices heard, and our affiliates heard as well. So that's the commitment I give. I'll do that day in, day out at the Cabinet table, getting things done for all of our members, making you really proud to be out there on the doors ahead of the elections in May, but also securing that second-term Labour government that is within our grasp.
Thank you. The next question is from Jordan.
Hiya, I'm Jordan Keeble from the Wrekin. I'd like to know, what are your plans to represent the younger members of the Labour Party and increase youth engagement? Thank you.
Our young members should be made to feel really welcome when they join the Labour Party, and I know that isn't always the case, and we've got to make sure that the Labour Party is a really welcoming, open environment where our young people can get involved and make a contribution. And I've done so much work over the years with Labour students and with Young Labour, and the amazing campaigning work at the last general election, I don't know where we would be without our amazing young members. But it's not just the contribution that our young members make to campaigning, it's the contribution our young members have to make in policy making too. And that's why I've always made sure I've heard the voices of our young members in developing the policy that I've been leading on. It's why we have taken action, for example, around the cost of living for students, bringing back those new targeted maintenance grants for college and university students. That was a big ask from lots of our young members. It's what I'm able to do because I've got that seat at the Cabinet table to make sure your voices are being heard right at the top of our party.
Thank you.
Well, we've got to be honest. We are not attracting young people to our movement in the way that we once did and that we should. I've got a 21-year-old son, and to be honest with you, him and his friends have really struggled with me actually being in the Labour government this last 15 months because we've not got some of the politics right to enthuse young people, to make them see that a Labour government, the Labour Party, is not just working on their behalf, but that we can make the change that they want to see. You know, young people today, they have big ambitions. They want to see real change. They don't feel that the country is working in their interests. It's a real struggle to get on the housing ladder, to get a job these days when you come out of university or when you come out of school. So we've got to enthuse, we've got to get the politics right, we've got to work with young people and not just sort of patronise them, but also be where they're at and be in the conversations that they're having, which I don't think we've been doing as well as we could be. So that's what I will prioritise.
Thank you. The next question is from Charlie Mansell, who isn't here. He is from Sutton and Cheam CLP and is asking, if you are elected as Deputy Leader, a likely focus for you will be mobilising members for the next general election. What plans do you have to improve engagement with members in the 200 plus CLPs that do not have a Labour MP and may not be as engaged or networked into the massive work of delivery the Labour government is doing?
Well, this is a big question, and it goes to the heart of what we're doing here. We're electing a deputy leader, the members' choice for a deputy leader. It's a party role, it's not a government role. That's what we're electing. And key to that is about building, mobilising and re-engaging party members and CLPs. Because we've all seen what's happened. People are feeling frustrated, they are feeling demotivated, they are feeling disconnected from the conversation at the top of the party and in government. And I think there's a real virtue now to having this job as a full-time party role outside of government so that I can be in every constituency, in every community, in every council, and being that really strong feedback loop to what is happening at the top so that we can all once again feel proud, feel motivated, feel engaged, feel like we're valued, and we want to go out on the doorstep and sell that big, strong Labour message that we know we've got to deliver. And we're some way off from that now, but I will be doing that every single day.
Thank you.
Brilliant. Thanks very much for that question. So I think firstly, in many of those seats, we will still have council elections where we're seeking to get our councillors elected, so we have to make sure that we're understanding the challenges that are there. And I know it is harder if you don't have a Labour MP to understand exactly what's going on. I think there is a real role for technology in this, how we can reach more members across the country, not actually in all constituencies, perhaps through more online events, more virtual events. We did a lot of that during the pandemic and it's kind of fallen by the wayside, and I think there is a real opportunity to engage our members across the country as a part of that. But, you know, for those of you in the hall and those joining online, you know, I've campaigned in so many seats the length and breadth of our country, met so many of you. That's what you'll see if I'm your deputy leader, out there all the time with you, campaigning to deliver brilliant election results in May, to deliver that second term Labour government. Yes, being honest about where we've got to make change happen, but also being proud of what we can do. And I'll make sure I'm doing that together with all of you.
Thank you. The next question is from Aaron.
Hi there, I'm Aaron Tamble-Wolf from Errol CLP. My question is, what do you think Labour can be doing better and how do we implement that?
Sorry, I didn't quite catch that.
Can you
Apologies.
repeat the question, please?
Absolutely. What do you think Labour can be doing better and how?
So I think we have to be honest about where we've got things wrong in the last year and learn from that, whether that's around welfare reform or the winter fuel allowance. We have to learn and do things better in the future. But I also think that, and, you know, when we were sat at the cabinet table, Angela Rayner would often say, you know, as a party, we obsess about the 10% of things we get wrong and we don't focus on the 90% of things that we get right. I think that's absolutely right. Look, let's learn from our mistakes, but let's also focus on taking that message out to the country, telling the story about who we are, what we believe in, and what we're here to deliver for working people. Because if we don't tell the story of the new free breakfast clubs, of the minimum wage, of the 30 hours of government-funded childcare, our opponents won't do that. No one else will tell that story unless we are prepared to do it. And I'll be an effective voice out there on the media, in our communities, across the country, working with all of you, yes, to be bolder, to go further, but so that you feel proud to get out on those doors.
Thank you.
Well, look, we all want this government to succeed, but we all know that we can do better and we've got to do better. And we have made mistakes. I mean, they've been big mistakes. Let's not sugarcoat that. And that's why we're in the difficulty we are in the polls at the moment. And we've got to learn the right lessons. I think when you have a kind of increasing groupthink of a fewer and fewer people taking decisions that are not connected to the communities that we represent and are not hearing that feedback from the doorstep, from our workplaces, then we don't make good decisions. And I will make sure that we are that feedback loop. And if that means, as I've done in the last year or so, if that means having difficult conversations and speaking truth to power, I will do that. I've been the shop steward effectively for the backbenchers over the last year, and I can be the party's shop steward now. And I think we make better decisions. We are a better version of ourselves when we include the broader voices of our very talented, experienced and well-connected movement. And I think that's the first thing we can get right.
Thank you. The next question is from Tirith.
I'm Tirith Dat from Smethwick CLP. My question is, how would you be the voice of members? Thank you.
Well, I think I've outlined some of how I would be the voice of members. Look, what I've been doing in this campaign, I launched recently, a few days ago, I had a Lucy Listens event, and I'm going to take my Lucy Listens event right round the country, because I want to draw on all of your voices and make sure that they're in the top of the conversation about what we're doing next, because this is an incredibly powerful role. This would be somebody who had a direct mandate from the party membership to be their voice, to make sure that they are represented in the conversation. But that's a responsibility I would take incredibly seriously. It's not a power I would use lightly, but I would use it where necessary to make sure that members are fully represented. And I think there's a real opportunity now for us to build up that capacity, to have that feedback loop, to listen to members outside of government, so that when we next need the party machine, it's there for us, mobilised, proud and engaged.
Thank you. Next up...
Bridget's not.
Oh, sorry, Bridget.
That's all right.
So
No, it's
sorry.
okay. That's all right. Brilliant. Thanks very much for that question. I'll be the member's voice. I'll be the voice of our wider movement. I'll bring all of that together at the cabinet table. That's not something I will just be getting underway. I do it all of the time. But what being deputy leader of our party would mean is a mandate to do more and to go further. So just take child poverty, for example. That will be my #1 priority if I were your deputy leader. I think we've done a lot already. I'm really proud of the action that we're taking on expanding free school meals and on new free breakfast clubs. But we've got to make sure that by the end of this Parliament, there are fewer children growing up in our country than at the start. It's what brought me into politics. It's what I care passionately about. But it's not just something I care about or I've lived or felt. It's something I will work with you to deliver. So we've got to do more. We've got to be more ambitious. And I will build on the amazing campaigning work that Angela did as a voice for members, as a voice for our movement, but getting things done. And I'll be a strong, determined person making sure we deliver change.
Thank you. Next up, we now really do have Damilola.
Hi, hello Bridget, hello Lucy. I'm Councillor Damilola Ojuri from North West Leicestershire. My question is, aside from the NHS, what's your most favourite Labour achievement?
It's a really good question. Thanks very much. I would say the introduction of the national minimum wage, which we introduced after the Labour government was elected in 1997. We'd campaigned as a party for that for years. It was Keir Hardie wanted to deliver it. There'd been over 100 years. And when we got that Labour government elected in 97, we were able to bring in the national minimum wage. And that meant in communities like mine, the security guard, the care worker on £1 an hour had a huge pay rise overnight when we changed the law. And that makes me so proud of what we've achieved. But I think we face big challenges now. It's why we have to deliver the Employment Rights Bill to make sure we're delivering greater protections at work for working people. But the reason we were able to deliver that was because we had John Prescott making the case for that at the cabinet table as a deputy leader of our party. That's the kind of model I want to build on.
Thank you.
Well, I'd agree with Bridget. I mean, I think, introducing the national minimum wage back in that first Labour government was transformatory. People told us we couldn't do it. People said it would have a damaging effect on employment, and it didn't. We were on the side of working people. We absolutely showed that that's what a Labour government is about, and we've got to make really clear that whose side we're on and in whose interests we are governing. And today, those challenges are just as big. In fact, they're bigger than they were in 1997, because insecurity at work, insecurity in housing, people feel that they live in a country and an economy that just doesn't work for them. And that's why the Employment Rights Bill, but also the next stages of that with Make Work Pay, and what we've done this year in increasing the national minimum wage and the living wage are so important to giving people that dignity, that security in work. That's what Labour governments do, and that's what we're about.
Lovely, thank you. The next question is from Matthew. Is Matthew here? In that case, I will ask it. This is from Matthew Pike in Mansfield. What was your biggest learning from moving from 14 years of opposition into government?
Biggest learning? Yeah. I mean, look, I think we can all be honest that the transition from campaigning and being outside of government into government has been a hard one for us, which is why we've seen some of the things that we've seen over the last year. But I had quite a slightly different job, and my job was a bit more political than everybody else's. I didn't really have the problems with sort of running a department, getting my feet under the table. And that's why I was so proud of what we did and what I did and others did to get that King's Speech ready. within 10 days, I mean, it was printed on the special paper, within 7 days of the general election,
20.
we had to have that King's Speech ready to go, all the bills ready, and the programme for the next 15 months ready to go. And I'm really proud that I was able to do that. And actually, I've learned a lot from that. I know how government works. I know how to influence it politically and get things done. And I want to be that political voice around the table full time.
Thank you.
I mean, let's be clear, we've got some things wrong, absolutely we have. You know, with welfare reform, we didn't do that in the right way, and we've got to take lessons on that and learn from it. But I spent 14 years in opposition as a Member of Parliament, and give me the worst day in government any day over the best day in opposition. Because in opposition, what happened? What did I see in my community? More kids growing up in poverty, NHS waiting lists growing, people unable to get a home. Crime, you know, a big challenge around antisocial behaviour, people not feeling safe in their own communities. That's the challenge that we face. But that's why, however hard it is being in government, and it can be hard and there are challenges, we actually get to do things and make change happen for people. The kind of change that you campaigned for, you got out and delivered, and that's why it is such a privilege to be your Education Secretary. That's how we're transforming lives. The difference that we're making to children, to families, the change that we're delivering together. There's more to do. Together we can do it.
Thank you. Bryony.
Thank you. I'm Councillor Bryony Goodliff from South Cambridgeshire. How can we unite the country and fight against the politics of division?
Bridget.
Great. So we've got to be true to our values. We can't out-reform reform. We've got to be clear that our values, our Labour values, are the values of the British people. That we are outward-looking, that we are compassionate, that we believe we have a modern, diverse society, which is our greatest strength as a country, the amazing contribution that people make from countries around our world and have grown our nation to what it is today. We need to own that flag, we need to be proud of who we are and not afraid to take on the false patriots, the plastic patriots of people like Reform, who want to stoke division. They don't want to solve the challenges that all of us experience in our communities around the cost of living, around being able to see a GP, all of the problems that we as a government need to tackle. We have to be honest and true to our values, get on the front foot and take them on. But it's also about people seeing that change, feeling that change. And if we don't convey that message, nobody else will.
Thank you.
Well, look, these are very worrying times, aren't they? I mean, our future of our democracy is at a precipice. And it falls on our shoulders as the Labour Party. We've always stood up against division and hate, but also as the party of government to get this right and to really reunite the country. And the challenge couldn't be greater and the stakes couldn't be higher. And this is about a lot more than winning elections or winning votes. This is about winning the hearts and minds, the soul of our country. And there's a huge responsibility on our shoulder to do that. And I think that begins with telling our own story about what we actually think is wrong with this country and rejecting the hate and the division and the othering of people and saying that actually it's not the fault of immigrants in this country that your life has got harder and harder. And what are we doing to fix it? I think people are sick of us just going on about Nigel Farage all the time. We're trying to out-reform. Let's get back onto what we're actually doing to fix the problems that this country faces.
Thank you. And the last question is from Kira.
Hello, Councillor Kira Lewis from the London Borough of Waltham Forest. Looking back at your time in government so far, what do you consider your single biggest personal achievement, and why should party members see that as evidence of the kind of deputy leader that you want to be? Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I think I've said that a few times already in this conversation. You know, I'm very, very proud of the legislative programme that we're delivering and the way that we are actually fundamentally rewiring this country in the interest of ordinary people, whether that is the Employment Rights Bill, which I had to work really hard with Angela to get in 100 days, or whether it's about bringing our railways and our buses back into public ownership, or ending water bosses bonuses, or bringing in Great British Energy so that you can get lower bills and we can have energy security. But particularly, you know, I fought really hard to make sure that we had the Hillsborough Law and Martin's Law in our King's Speech, because we are the party that said we're on the side alongside of people who faced injustices in their lives, who faced tragedy, and we're going to rewire this country to make those things not happen again. So there's some of the things that I'm really proud of, and there's many more, I'm sure, that others are as well.
Thank you.
Reviving Sure Start for a New Generation with Best Start Family Hubs. It was an amazing achievement of that last Labour government. So many of you have told me how proud you were of that. I am too. But it's only now, because we have a Labour government, we can deliver that. Best Start Family Hubs rolling out across every community. And the reason we're doing that is because we want to set up children and families to succeed with support as early as possible and all of the help that's needed. It's why that sits alongside our plans to give every child the best start in life, because all too often in this country, the family that you're born into, the community that you're born into, that determines where you get to in life. That's a fundamental unfairness. It's what brought me into politics, about turning things around, about background not meaning destiny, about all of our children and young people having every chance to succeed. And lots of you told me that's what you wanted from government, and it's only because you got out there, you campaigned, we united as a party, that we're now able to deliver those amazing Best Start Family Hubs.
Thank you. That brings our questions to an end, but the candidates now have an opportunity to make a 2-minute summary of their case, as it were. I'm going to ask Bridget to go first, and I will give you a 15-second warning when there is 15 seconds left. Thank you. Yes,
great, thank you. Last year we came together to secure a Labour government after 14 long years. This is a golden opportunity to change our country, and we cannot waste it. Now we face the spectre of Farage with his dangerous nationalism and immoral policies. I want us to turn this government around, not to turn on each other. Change is on the ballot at this election. The choice is what kind of change. You can choose to push our government to be bolder, to go further, to do more, with me as your voice at the cabinet table. Or you can choose division and disunity that fills the pages of the right-wing papers and puts us back on the road to opposition. I want to put Labour's heart and soul back into government, continuing the legacy of John Prescott, Harriet Harman, Angela Rayner, and just look at what I've delivered with you already. Reviving Sure Start for a New Generation, rolling out free breakfast clubs, extending free school meals to 500,000 more children. And I've stood up to the vested interests, and I've ended tax breaks for private schools, and I never backed down. And now I'm seeking a mandate from you to do more. With a seat at the cabinet table, I will be your voice at the heart of government to get things done. Tackling the scourge of child poverty, making sure we deliver the Employment Rights Bill in full, no ifs, no buts. I know the difference Labour governments can make. They took me from a council street in the North East to a seat at the cabinet table. But if we don't come together, we can't build the better country that we all want to see. We have crucial elections next year in Scotland, Wales and across England. We can't afford to look inwards. The stakes are just too high. So back me to unite our party, deliver change and beat reform so we can secure the second term of a Labour government that we all want to see. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'm now going to ask Lucy to speak.
This is your vote, your choice. You, the members, to choose your deputy. This is a party role, not a government one. Having this debate is not dissent, but an important conversation about how we can be better, because we need to be. The stakes are too high if we don't. I would be a full-time deputy leader, a strong, independent voice at the heart of what we do. Not in the cabinet, but in every constituency, every council, every community. I will bring a political dimension to everything we do, free from the constraints of government. Because when we listen, when we reflect the views and experiences of our broad movement, when our values shine through, we are better, we make better decisions. I won't shy away from the difficult conversations, but I won't snipe from the sidelines. I've been the shop steward for the backbenchers this past year, and I'll be your shop steward now. We all need this government to succeed. Because as our leader Keir said yesterday, we are now in the fight of our lives. We need to stand up for what we believe. The very future of our democracy depends on it. We must reunite the country. That means wrestling back the political megaphone and setting the agenda. We have a very different diagnosis of what is really wrong with Britain and how it needs fixing. I'm up for that fight. I know what it takes. People need to know who we are for and what we believe in, and what we are actually doing. Telling that powerful story every single day, with thousands of our elected representatives facing difficult elections next year, this task is now urgent. Equipping us for this fight will be my full-time job. I want all of us to feel proud, to feel hope, to feel valued, and to be up for it. Together, we can win this fight of our lives. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you all very much indeed. I hope that you've heard some interesting answers and have things to reflect on. Thank you very much to our two brilliant candidates who have answered everything that has been thrown at them. That concludes this hustings, which, as I say, I hope you have enjoyed and got something out of. Safe journey home.
Thank you, Nan.
Thank you.